How many of you, as you think back over the last year, would say, you know what? I've failed at some point in the last year. All right. Let's bring it a little bit closer. How about in the last month? I've failed in the last month. In the last week. I failed in the last week. How many of you right now, not raising your hands, are failing at telling the truth? Quite a few of you. Failure happens to us all. And the question isn't will we fail or will you fail, but the question is when will you fail next? Or maybe more importantly, how will you respond when you fail? Because we all deal with failure. Sometimes it's big and sometimes it's small. Sometimes it's very public failure and sometimes it's private and no one knows about it. Sometimes the failure has very significant consequences and sometimes there's no consequences at all. But the question is, how will you respond in the midst of failure? One of the things I see when I look at people that have been successful in their careers or in their profession or whatever it is they're chasing after is as you look at their biographies and as you read their history of what got them to where they're at today, one of the common things you see in almost all of their stories is failure. Walt Disney was fired from his job at a newspaper early in his career because they said he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. Steven Spielberg had dyslexia. He struggled in school and he was rejected from film school for 2 different times. John Grisham, in his first book, A Time to Kill, was rejected 28 times. Albert Einstein had the label mentally slow put on his permanent school record because he didn't start speaking until he was 4, and he didn't start reading until he was 7 years old. Henry Ford, his first 2 automobile companies failed. Oprah Winfrey was fired from an early job as a television news anchor. Jerry Seinfeld was so bad at comedy that he was booed off the stage in his first stand-up comedy appearance. Sir James Dyson, he created 5,126 failed prototypes before he landed on the first working Dyson vacuum. J.K. Rawlings, she was divorced, broke, and battling depression when writing her first book. Harry Potter was rejected by 12 publishers before finding one that would accept it. Dr. Seuss's first book was rejected 27 times by different publishers. Elvis Presley was fired from the Grand Ole Opry and was told to go back to being a truck driver. Colonel Sanders of KFC fame was rejected over 1,000 times before finding a franchise partner. As a child, Thomas Edison was told by a teacher that he was too stupid to learn anything. As an adult, he went on to become one of the most successful inventors who ever lived, holding more than 1,000 patents. Today, a Vincent Van Gogh painting will sell upwards of $100 million. You know how many paintings he sold in his life? 1. Abraham Lincoln suffered 6 different defeats for various political positions, all the way from Speaker of the Illinois House to Senate seat to Vice President, lost 6 of those before being elected as president. And the greatest basketball player of all time, I know some of you might disagree, but I said it. The greatest basketball player of all time, Michael Jordan, was cut from his high school team. And he famously said this. He said, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. On 26 occasions, I've been entrusted to take the game-winning shot, and I missed. I failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed." See, what I see when I look at many of these people that have been successful in their careers and their professions is one of the things they realize is that failure is never final. And the question isn't, will I fail? The question is, when I fail, how will I respond? Will the failure sideline me and take me out of the game? Or is it something that will propel me into a greater future? How will you respond to failure?